From the Enterprise record from the year 1995, Bowling from Heyday to Mayday. Subtitle says, Bowlers have trouble making commitments for long season. Dave Strachota remembers bowling's golden era when the only thing proprietors had to do to market their sport was to open the doors and stand back. Bowlers rushed in by the thousands throughout the 1960s and 70s, filling leagues practically around the clock. Housewives flocked to daytime coffee clatch leagues to socialize. Factory workers joined their buddies on the alleys after the 3 p.m. whistle. Teens took their dates moonlight bowling on Saturday nights. Bowling was king. Bowling was cool. And Milwaukee was the bowling capital of the world. Today, Strachota laments the fact that hundreds of bowling centers, including his own Mill Shore Lanes, a family-run operation for 50 years, have gone out of business. Other centers struggle to remain profitable. On some days in those once booming bowling palaces, it's so quiet you can hear a pin drop. I don't know if anyone could have foreseen it coming, Strachota says of bowling's slump. I don't think anyone could have stopped the decline because it happened so fast. While open play is held steady, more than 79 million people bowled at least once in the U.S. in 1994, according to industry figures. The number of hardcore league bowlers has plummeted. Since 1980, the American Bowling Congress and the Women's International Bowling Congress, organizations which sanction league play and conduct tournaments, have lost a staggering 4.3 million members combined. ABC membership has tumbled 50% from a peak of 4.7 million in 1980 to 2.4 million in 1994. An average of 155,000 annually. The dramatic shift in the way bowlers participate in their sport, from weekly and scheduled to infrequent and impulsive, has sent shockwaves through the industry. And perhaps nowhere in America has bowling's decline been more noticeable than in Milwaukee, once regarded as one of the sports meccas and the home of such bowling legends as Frank Benkovic, Ned Day, and Hank Marino. In just the last 6 years, the ABC's Greater Milwaukee Area Association has lost more than 10,000 members. During that span, Milwaukee also has lost its Professional Bowlers Association tournament, its long-running Bowling with the Champs television series, and several once thriving centers. What happened here mirrored the national trend. Since 1980, more than 1,500 WIBC certified bowling centers in the United States have closed their doors. Just this year, another 138 centers closed nationally. In short, the sport of bowling has gone from heyday to Mayday in 15 years. We projected that by the year 2000 we wouldn't have any members, says Darrell Dobbs, the executive director of the ABC, which is headquartered in Greendale, Wisconsin. I think that's wrong because there would always be the hardcore bowler, and we'd have 500,000 members or something like that. But all you had to do was look at the graphs going into the toilet, and you could see that we had big problems. The bowling industry is at a critical stage, says Doug Schmidt, editor and publisher of Ten Pin Journal, a regional bowling publication. I think it can be turned around, but only if people aren't satisfied with the status quo. Adds Schmidt, a league bowler for 27 years, you can't just run bowling promotions where you wait for bowlers to walk in the doors, because they're not walking in the doors anymore. What has happened to bowling? Better question, what hasn't happened to bowling? When people say, what do you think is the problem? I say, if it was a problem, it would be easy to fix, says Strachota, now an area manager for American Red Carpet. It's a complex issue. Broad sociological, economic, and lifestyle changes have impacted bowling since the 1960s. Factories have closed by the dozen, taking with them a huge segment of the blue-collar workforce that formed bowling's foundation in the Midwest. Meanwhile, women joined the workforce by the thousands, all but eliminating the clatchers. While all that happened, competition for the discretionary dollar increased exponentially. Think about it. 3 decades ago, there were no home computers, no VCRs, no mega malls, no movie multiplexes, and not as many pro sports teams. Those varied problems and challenges were mismanaged by bowling industry leaders who demonstrated a lack of vision, and by proprietors who often didn't pay attention to the needs of their clientele. The trend was continuing to decline, Dobbs says, and we were doing nothing to fix it. Or, what we were doing wasn't working. In addition, the sports governing bodies were far from united. They were too busy fighting among themselves to worry about their dissolving constituency. I'll be very candid. Many times we have had adversarial relationships with other organizations, Dobbs admits. Why? Control, power, greed, you name it, everything bad. Also in the 1980s, the health craze took the nation by storm. People fled dark, smoke-filled bowling centers to work out in gleaming health clubs. Tougher drunk driving laws meant a decline in the bar business. Image was an issue, says Joe Wilson, executive director of the Young American Bowling Alliance. Society started changing the images it wanted to be associated with, and bowling didn't change quick enough. While society changed, the profile of the league bowler changed with it, says Don Hildebrand, president of the Wisconsin Bowling Proprietors Association. We used to have 5-man teams that bowled together every week for 33 weeks, and if one of them missed, he practically had to have a note from his wife. Today, a 33-week commitment is too much for all but the die-hard bowler. Most bowlers want shorter, more flexible seasons, if they bowl in leagues at all. Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor, wrote that the decline of league bowling is one indication that the American propensity for forming associations to have fun, to help others, to solve problems, is dying. Pete Kowalski, 58, who runs the Kowalski Brothers Pro Shop in Milwaukee and has been in the bowling business for 5 decades, doesn't have a degree from Harvard, but he has reached a similar conclusion. People don't want to make an obligation today, Kowalski says. They don't want to commit to 33 weeks. If they can do it impulsively, they'll do it.